Is AI taking over the world, or at least our shopping habits? Is Taylor Swift turning into an evil dictator? These are the questions that we strive to answer today with our lovely guest. I am Maggie Gelson Burnett.
And I'm Mallory Hagan. This is Pretty Furious.
Hello.
Hello, Poppy. Is Taylor Swift turning into an evil dictator?
Man, I don't know. She was looking at property in like Cleveland. Like, I feel like that's a red flag if I ever saw one. Like, I've been to Cleveland.
Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, I look forward to talking about the internet's very divided views on this new album. It is
Yes,
funny to me how, man, a year ago, Taylor Swift, top of the world, could do no wrong. Everyone loves her. No one's mad. Everyone's just so happy for the Eras tour. And all
I
it took
know.
was this going on a sports podcast and announcing a new album for people to be like, now wait a minute.
I
You
mean,
haven't said
and
anything.
yeah, I was gonna say, and her being quiet for like literally 10 months. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that really
I
assisted her
mean,
well.
correct. I'll give it a yes. And if I did 149 shows
Fully.
over
Yeah.
51
Yeah.
cities over the course of 2 years, I also
Totally.
might be quiet for 10
Absolutely.
months.
Absolutely. I totally,
I
I
think both
totally
both
get it.
things can be true, but we talk about it a little bit
Exactly.
more. We have an exciting guest
Exactly.
today.
I am so excited for everybody to hear this conversation with Heidi. She's amazing. She brings a wealth of knowledge to lots of different topics. But yeah, we'll talk about Taylor, we'll talk about fast fashion, we'll talk about Sydney Sweeney a little bit as
Yeah.
well, my arch nemesis. But before we get into that, Mallory, you can't be pretty furious without being pretty first.
What
What
is
product did you
my
bring?
product this week? I have been thinking a lot about products and the consumption of them, and I actually wrote you this past week and was like, I'm running out of stuff to talk about. I really don't have this many products. I,
No, literally.
I think there should be a vlog one day where we take people behind the scenes because I think people would be shocked for someone who was like Miss America if you saw the amount of makeup that I own, which is none. So I thought about it and I was like, what are other things I use to feel and be quote unquote pretty without, trying to consume more things? And ding ding ding. These are some of my favorite things that I didn't even know existed until I think my aunt gave them to me for Christmas. And I was like, what are these? I thought they were scrunchies.
Bar absolute none. Those are some of the best things I own.
Right. Okay. So if you're listening and not watching, I am holding up the little scrunchy things that go around your wrists when you wash your face. And if you're a person like me who I really stroke out over how it feels for the water for the water to go down my arms and onto my sleeves while I'm trying to wash my face. And
The
so
sensory experience of that
it's
is,
not, I don't recommend. It is a reason that sometimes I didn't used to wash my face, if we're
oh
being
yeah,
honest.
full.
I would be like, I can't right now deal, especially if it's cold outside and you're wearing long sleeves. Stop. So these things, I don't even know where these came from. I have no brand feelings about them. But if you see these, they're all over TJ Maxx and Ross and
Yeah,
places like
I
that.
think dollar store probably too.
If you see these, they usually come in a packet with a little headband, but perfect gift for someone for Christmas. Even if somebody has some, chances are they're like covered in makeup and old at this point. Perfect gift for yourself. And I just highly recommend getting yourself some of those for your face washing experience. How
Yeah, I
about
was just
you?
gonna say mine are pretty gnarly. I should probably like, I don't know, fucking wash them. Okay, so my product is one from Nina Poole on TikTok. Do you follow Nina? Oh my God, Mallory.
Sorry.
She gives like the best dupes of all time. Like, and she does like research. Like she will look at product ingredients and compare them and then give you the cheaper one. So I picked this up from her recommendation. This is the Holy Hydration Sleeping Mask from Elf. And this is about $10 for this big ol' container. This apparently is the dupe for the Summer Fridays jet lag mask, which is like $40 for like this
Okay.
size tube. I love it though. So it's a mask that you can use it for 10 to 15 minutes, true, just kind of little quick mask situation, but it's actually meant to be used overnight. So you use
Mm.
it as a last step of your skincare routine. So I am really enjoying this. It's
I
lovely.
would say I'll try it, but aren't they under fire right now because everyone's upset with them
You're
about Matt?
absolutely right. I can't believe that I just brought an elf product on. God fucking damn it. I knew
No,
there was something fuck ass about today. I knew that there was. God damn it. Don't buy that. Don't buy that. I'm going to tell you right now. It's shit. Don't buy it. It's terrible. It's a terrible product.
I was
No,
like,
I
wait,
literally just made a
everyone.
video about this the other day. I was like, fuck you, elf. Like, ew. And then I bring in an elf product. Oh my God. I'm going to go
Such
run
is
in
life.
traffic.
You know, if you're listening to
Terrible.
this, Maggie and I are hanging on by a thread, just collectively and as individuals.
You know what they call that, Mallory? That's duality. Two things can be true at once.
This could be a great product and they can suck.
No, don't buy it right now, though. Yeah.
Don't buy it right now. Wait
yeah.
until they apologize.
Wait until
for
it
their
dies down. Wait until they fire Matt Rife. Who's a fucking loser, by the way. Let's get that on the record.
And
that Matt Rife sucks.
the amount of plastic surgery that guy's had is insane.
Did you ever see the video of his plastic surgeon, like basically outing himself on TikTok?
Oh.
Somebody did a video being like, who's Matt Rife's plastic surgeon? Because I need to talk to them about his jaw or something. And then this plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills like did this whole video and like turned around and was like, and just like did a shoulder shrug. Yeah, it was hilarious. So
not a HIPAA violation.
Not a HIPAA.
What? That's hilarious. No, I didn't know. Well, before we move into our headlines, we just want to make sure everybody is following us. We've been trying to engage a little bit more on Substack. You can find us there.
Yeah.
Our episodes are always on our website at prettyfuriouspod.com. And then, of course, we'd love to see you on the socials. We've got TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, Facebook, you know, all of the usual suspects. But, you know, we got a couple of new reviews online. And so I would say we would appreciate a couple of new reviews this time as well.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, I need to read them. Usually I'm very like good at staying up on those. Were any of them bad?
No.
Oh, damn.
I think we're holding it at like a 4 something star. I have no idea.
That's fine.
Even with our angry girl from our first couple episodes.
And the person who was like, she's making fun of 9/11. I was like, okay, first of all, I was making fun of a George Bush meme from 9/11.
Yeah. Well, there was also one where someone, I don't even know what we were talking about. We were talking about Austin, Texas, and they were like, Austin's not rural. And we were like, whoever said
what?
It was.
Oh
anyway,
my God.
outside of those three people who are clearly upset with us, yeah, we'd love your reviews. All right, so lots going on this week in the headlines. When is there not? What headline is making you pretty furious?
So this one requires very little like explanation on my behalf. And so this is from CNN. It says, Pentagon says Hegseth supports women's right to vote despite sharing videos saying otherwise. So Pentagon, hey, your buddy old pal Maggie here. I'm just going to tell you that if a person says one thing in a video that has been broadly circulated on the interweb, odds are they mean it. Like, I don't know. I mean, and like Pete Hegseth, yeah, not a great track record, but like, I really do appreciate the PR crisis that you're trying to mitigate here with
for like the 17th time in 3 months. I mean, this
very
guy,
blatant headline.
I don't even understand. You know what I can't believe? I can't believe Donald Trump still backs him because of the amount of oxygen he sucks away from Donald Trump by being a fucking idiot.
Exactly.
The amount of headlines about this man since his name first started circulating, where it's just one thing after another of bad news bears.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he's a fucking idiot. Yeah.
Also, if you're interested in a more nuanced take of how that ideology is actually not fringe and very much permeating society and the Christian right, Tia Levings, who we had on the podcast a few weeks ago, just released an op-ed in Huffington Post, and we've posted it on our socials, but just go search Tia Levings, Huffington Post, and read about how this ideology that Pete Hegseth has circulated it's not fringe. It's very much a part of the plan.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, my turn. You ready?
I'm ready.
So, Many folks may not know or realize that we are a military family. I don't think I talk about it too much. And my husband's family, lots of veterans and on his side of the family as well. Staffing at VA hospitals is at a crisis level. So a new report found that every single one of the nation's 139 Veteran Affairs medical centers, or the VA centers, faces severe staffing shortages, and the need is 50% higher than just last year for both clinical jobs like doctors and psychologists, and also non-clinical jobs like, I don't know, custodial workers. And this makes me furious because, first of all, people who serve our country, whether you agree with like the broader scale military industrial complex, like all that kind of stuff, the fact of the matter is that people and their families step into these roles and they serve our country and they keep us protected, and we should take care of them. Just that's the point blank of it. That makes me so irritated, so furious about the fact that this administration and the conservative Republican right claim to care about our freedom, care about our country, care about our service members, and then these things are a direct result of the shitty policy that they have implemented since being in office in January. So pretty furious about the fact that our veterans are not getting they already weren't getting the care that they needed. And now that is only being made worse by cuts to VA programs.
Yeah, totally. The way we treat veterans and the way we treat moms, or the way that conservatives treat veterans and moms, is very I feel like they're direct parallels of one another. It's like, yeah, we want you to serve our country, and then when you come home, yeah, fuck you. And then it's like, yeah, we want you to have babies, and then when you do, fuck you. It's like, okay,
you served your purpose. Moving along.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
that's fucked up.
Yeah, I think a lot of things that we do to women in particular are a little bit fucked up. But one thing that we see a lot of is just this pushing and marketing to women who are the consumers of the household. And often those women are women who are at home with their children, but that's neither here nor there. We've got somebody on today, Heidi, who is going to talk to us a little bit about how that content creation and consumption is impacting us. You want to bring Heidi in?
Yeah, I'll tell you guys a little bit about her. So Heiid Kaluza is a content creator, angel investor, and multi-hyphenate creative at the forefront of the emerging style industry. She advocates for value-driven choice and invests in structural change by asking one simple question: what if everything we need, we already own? So let's welcome Heidi to the show. Okay, Heidi, welcome to the show. We are so excited to have you today. You brought a headline or a topic that has made you pretty furious this week. Can you share it with us?
Absolutely. I think that it's the back and forth tariffs from, what do they say on the I've Had It podcast? Taco tits.
I love them.
The orange taco tits.
They are so fabulous. But I think it's the back and forth tariffs and then kind of the long tail effects that it has on small businesses. And there aren't a lot of headlines out about it, but I see it everywhere in my feed, on TikTok, on Substack. And it's just a lot of my favorite small businesses are, they can't withstand it. And so that is making me pretty furious these days.
So interesting that there's not and I use interesting as basically a filler word here.
Of course.
What I really mean is totally fucked up and crazy. That there's not a lot of news articles out there about that, especially when it's impacting small businesses, which is sort of when we think of the traditional small business owner in America bootstrapping, they are often a lot of times Republicans. And so it's very interesting to me that now that we are experiencing the consequences of their actions, there's not a ton of information about it to be found anywhere. And now it's impacting small businesses that are, liberal or just trying to, introduce something really cool into their communities and build their communities up. So that's super fascinating.
Yeah. have you all seen, and I'm gonna miss the state, but I think it was Michigan. There was a woman, there's the video that I saw of her was at a press conference. She's wearing blue. She's a business owner who relies heavily on things being imported. And basically she was saying, I took out a second mortgage on my house. Our business is successful, but right now I only have 3 months worth of product in my warehouse. But I got slapped with a $250,000 upcharge on the things that I need to bring in order to keep my business going. And she said, and I don't have $250,000 to add to the price that I was already paying. So I'm at a crossroads. Like, I can't bring the other product in to keep my business going. And now she's like, we're talking about the fact that my house is on the line, where my family
Wow.
lives. So I think it really is so frustrating to see so many people. We go back to our education system all the time, but so many people who think that this is some type of game, like, oh, it's going to help us in the long run. No, it's not. And in the meantime, we're losing community small businesses and revenue from real life families, real life people who are dependent upon those things that we bring in. So it is really infuriating. Taco tits.
I like yam tits
Fully.
too,
Yam tits is great.
Like,
So, Heidi, for our listeners who maybe don't know you as well, Heidi was on my old podcast, and World Peace, and so Heidi and I, go way back. But for people who maybe don't know you as well, like, I would love to know about kind of some signs that you saw within the influencer space that kind of in the more traditional sense, the influencer space, like, people who are, peddling a lot of product and influencing people to buy. What were some signs that you noticed that space was headed down a dark path of, like, maybe fast fashion, overconsumption, when you were still immersed in it?
yeah, absolutely. I think it was foundationally the conformity of it all, because once I started to delve in a little bit to that low-hanging fruit of fast fashion affiliate work, those really easy to get brand deals, it was just very clear that they needed to, stack them high and watch them fly, right? And they just needed
Wow.
everybody to say the same thing, be so excited about the product, never show anything wrong with it, and never have any critique or criticism for the product publicly or to them behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
Like, there was just never any path for that. And I come from content creation, was never my full-time gig. Once I got to the highest point in my affiliate revenue, it was like December of 2019, and I was like, oh, I can't do this. I have to make a complete 180, complete turn. But I think my background really helped me with that, because I spent a ton of time, like almost a decade, in early stage tech startups, and you wear a lot of hats, you learn how to negotiate, and you really understand strategy. And so it was very clear to me what these companies were doing, how they were thwarting the FTC rules and regulations, and how really they were using the majority of people. And then, we've talked, I know Maggie and you have talked about last touch attribution, but through that model have then siphoned up so much of that wealth to the very tip top, which is unfortunate. And so I think I had a lot of context to be able to understand kind of what was going on. But I think the conformity was the thing that really tipped me off in the first place. And who in particular, like what archetype was willing to, conform.
To sell?
To sell
wanna-
their soul.
Yeah, I want to go back, Heidi, because I know you've talked to Maggie, but you just said some things to even me that I was like, wait, what was that? Or I had to like think about it. So maybe just walk us through some of the ways that they were, you said, thwarting the FTC, and like, what are some of the things that companies do in order to put these products in the hands of people one time and then move on to another product that they do the exact same thing with?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the really interesting things about affiliate work, because like that's what we're talking about here, right? Linking out to products, and it's a pretty independent path that you can go on. But there are all these networks out there. So LTK, ShopMy, Rakuten is really large. And the way that they utilize their growth networks, so they like bring people in, and originally with LTK, I remember that it was definitely set up as like a pyramid scheme. If you brought someone in on that downline, you would then get a percentage of their cost. That was back in like 2014, 2015.
Oh, I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had one, so that's crazy. I had no idea.
Yeah, and I don't know if they, because often in business, if you're an early adopter of a technology like that or a program like that, you may just get that in perpetuity. We don't really know. Right? There's so much that's opaque behind the scenes. And then when you sign up for something like that, Mallory, since you just mentioned you've never had an LTK account. So when you sign up for something like that, they put you on a pretty clear track, right? They're like, these are the things that are going to make you an LTK millionaire. Like, just like it would make you a Mary Kay millionaire, a Pampered Chef millionaire, all of the MLM style things that we've just seen everywhere for decades. And so you get put on this track, and then you're given things like a content calendar, and you're given emails with bestsellers with the highest rates of commission every day. And so what that essentially does is it creates an army of influencers, an army of sales touch points and marketing for all different aspects of the sales funnel without any of those influencers having to necessarily denote that it's an ad, because 96% of the ads that we see online are not disclosed.
Right. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
And
crazy.
So it's kind of that loophole thing, right? It's kind of like, oh, we're not really going to talk about this little corner over here, or this like really big corner now. It's like, we're just not going to really talk about that. We're just going to let them do their thing. They're independent. But really, it's like they are coordinating with the Expresses, the H&Ms, the, whoever else is on there to have this concentrated message at one period in time. And then those people are also not getting paid for it. Often they're going into debt buying products,
Wow.
Same old with that.
I didn't, and I always thought that, like, to know, and this just shows you, I mean, people have sent me products in the past. I've definitely gotten like PR boxes, and and I've done an affiliate link from here to there, but I've never really been I can't be consistent enough to even, I can't.
It's so much work. It's so much
work.
unpaid. It's unpaid labor. Yeah.
Yeah. So much of it, I like, for people who really are able to just do it, good for them, I guess. But I've never even looked into it, and I had no idea. I thought, like, to know it was literally just, these are products that I personally love, and I know that some people have some products on there that are like an affiliate link product or whatever. But I just thought it was like the average Joe could sign up and just put all the things that they like in one place. I had no idea. All right, well, look at me learning.
But like, to be fair though, that's how it starts, right?
Right.
Like that's the top of the funnel. You're like, oh, I can make money from this mug.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, of course I'm going to link the mug and tell you about the mug. Right? But then it's like the minute you have a little bit of success, they'll, start reaching out to you. They'll send you more products. Like brands can connect directly to you in those platforms. And so then and also if you want to scale, there's no other way to scale. I often talk a lot about how once you're in fast fashion affiliate work, it is really difficult to get out of it, just because of the amount of money that you can make, and then what the pivot would require of your audience during that time too, because they're finding you because you're, selling products, and that's what. It's not necessarily about you or what you have.
I was going to say, they don't know you. They don't even care about you.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
That is so fascinating. I'm curious to know, like, I have to imagine, Heidi, I think the last time that we spoke was right before the election.
Yep.
And I have to believe, like, there has to be a connection of sorts between like the influencer marketing space we're seeing today and the political landscape we're seeing today. And I'm curious to know your take on that. Like, what are the connections you're seeing between these two spaces?
I'm so glad you asked that, because I think, kind of going back to conformity, that is absolutely foundationally a big part of all of this. And I often think of, gosh, what was it? The good group, the bi group. It was a Mormon led, a female Mormon led marketing agency that they're basically behind
all of those words together that you just said, like female led,
Yes.
like Mormon marketing firm. I was like, oh my God, that is horrifying.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But like, I haven't even gotten to the good part yet. They were the ones behind the rise in Stanley Cup.
Oh.
Of course they were.
Yes. Yes.
That's crazy.
And like,
Wasn't the rise of Stanley, though, that they discovered like their husband's hunting cup or something was doing what it was supposed to, and they were like, what if we just market this in different colors to women?
I mean, I think that's maybe the story for your demographic. Like, I'm not sure, right? Like,
I could be wrong, and that could be what's the other brand? Not Stanley, the other one. There's one of them.
Modern.
There was one of them that it's a cup that men have been using for decades.
Okay, I know what you're talking
The cooler.
Yeti.
A Yeti. There we go. Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. But I don't know. Maybe. Anyway.
So I think too, like, information about things is like a kaleidoscope, right? Like,
You're like, where did I even see that?
Yeah.
So that conformity, the between this administration and the way that people interact with products. I mean, what are those? Is it just that people who are more likely to engage in like groupthink or wanting to be like other people are also more likely to be people who are a part of the consumerism needed in order for this type of influencer marketing to thrive?
I mean, I feel like it's a little bit more nuanced than that. Because I grew up in organized religion. And so I definitely saw how conformity is just, once again, base level. You need to conform in order to fit in, right? And I think about incentive structures a lot, especially online and social media in those social structures. And I think that the either intended or unintended consequence of having this very visible path to staying at home, making money online, and then being kind of like revered for it in your like communities, that led us to this place where we put so much focus, and by we, I mean like, people online, people who wanted to be influencers, creators, which I think at one point I read some study where it was like 92 young people want to be influencers, and like
it's the new NFL player.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I think when you shift your conformity, your needs to corporate interests, and then you do that publicly, and then corporate interests are aligning with, this mega president, this mega administration, I think that at the end of the day, many people were incentivized to not dig into what they were doing because they felt as if it would alienate them from the group, it would alienate them from money. And and that has led us to a place where we are deep in that groupthink online and even in our own social circles.
You just said something, Heidi. There's very obviously this connection between this rise in alt-right ideology and obviously we see the tradwife movement, which very much intersects with influencer marketing and pushing products and staying home. You said staying home and I was like, ding, 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 all the tradwives of the world who people think, by the way, they think they don't or seem to have this like perception that they aren't making millions of dollars by like staying home and like peddling their products or and then creating their own businesses of sorts. Like I always want to say to those people like, well, those women are making a probably more of a living than their then their spouse who is outside of the home going to work. So, so yeah, it's really interesting to me that like alongside this rise in this ideology in America, we also see this rise in consumerism. We also see this rise in women wanting to stay home. The Gen Z folks who are like, I want to be an influencer and stay home and, you know, bake bread all day. That is a really interesting like dynamic and connection that I make.
Well, and now that you're saying that too, I'm just thinking about the facade of it all.
Yeah.
You know, because that's another thing that social media really allows you to create and construct on your own, whether it's true or not. You can just create this facade that things are beautiful, you're so happy, you're selling all these products, you're getting PR, whatever, you know, fake it till you make it. But then I feel growing up in the church, that was almost how I felt about people, how they presented like family life, right? Or having kids, or it's like this, or falling in love or getting married.
Just showing up on Sundays.
Yeah, just
you think about the amount of people who showed up on Sundays and you were like, my mom was a nail tech.
Okay.
To all the wealthy women.
Yes.
She knew the tea. And therefore, so did I.
Yes.
Right? And so and my parents didn't take me to church. I went to church on my own as a teenager because I felt left out, because I wanted to be a part of the conforming to what was happening.
Of course.
And when I stopped going to church, it was because I started looking around and I was like, well, now that woman, her husband's having an affair, and I know he is because she told my mom.
That woman.
And with that person, but here they are on Sunday, all dressed up and like shaking hands with the pastor, and I was like, this place is crazy.
Is crazy. Like, that is
fully
correct.
You guys are unwell.
Like 1,000%.
Yeah.
It's just like a constant gaslighting of yourself. Like it's I think often about the energy that must go into to keeping up that facade, or that, you know, that appearance, keeping up appearances, especially online with people that you almost feel maybe indebted to because they are buying from you and they are, you know, paying your bills in some capacity. So it's a really, like, all of that is a really interesting intersection for me, is the tradwifery of it all coming into play. So
absolutely.
I mean, go ahead, Mallory.
I was going to say, I also think about, though, maybe it's a little, for a certain demographic of people, absolutely, it is a facade that's created. And then for others, I feel that there is a collective responsibility to compartmentalize when it comes to consumerism, and especially online. And I think about myself, I think about all my friends so I went to the Fashion Institute of Technology, and I studied advertising and marketing through the lens of fashion. And I was actually just talking about this the other day, that one of my favorite classes was fashion ethics. And it's just ethics, but couched in the fashion industry. And I found it so fascinating to learn. First of all, we know the fashion industry is one of the worst contributors to environmental damage that we have, and the way that we make fake products, fast fashion, like all of these things from an ethical perspective. And the more that we know as a society, the more we understand how all of these things operate together, how they're impacting us, our bodies. We were talking to Shannon Oliver about the chemicals in our clothes and how that impacts our health. And we know all of these things, or at least a large portion of us do. And yet, bitch, if you put some shit in front of me on TikTok, I have to think 700 times about not buying it. Like, 100%. But I know these things, and I do find myself stopping and going, okay, the last thing I ordered was crap, and I don't need it. Like, I'm getting better at that, but I'm also getting older. So this ability for people to compartmentalize, even people who know. I think the consumerism element is just we're so entrenched in it. And so, yes, some of it is a facade, and the other side of it is that people know, and they still do it, and companies know that.
It's just advertising. It's all advertising. I think that technology has just skyrocketed that access that they have to us, because I think about that a lot too. And I don't know, I used to go a little bit more hard in the paint I was saying hard to the paint the other day on Instagram, and my husband was like, "That's not correct."
Not correct.
And I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, I stopped playing basketball when I was 13.
So sorry.
So sorry. But I used to go kind of hard in the paint about like, oh, we should be so much better about this. But then I was like, how can we actually possibly do that? Especially when we're so incentivized on many different levels, whether you're a consumer, an influencer, or a corporation, to do exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things that you said during the first time that I interviewed you was something to the effect of, because at that time, and admittedly still even, I was struggling a lot with this kind of like personal brand I was trying to build online and trying to monetize it, but trying to monetize it in a way that felt good and didn't feel like I was constantly, pushing products, constantly asking people to click a link, constantly asking people for their money. And I remember one of the things that you said that it lives kind of rent free in my brain was, we have to take the focus and attention away from the individual and put it on the corporation. Because we don't get anywhere by honing in on a single person who is doing something. Like yes, we should all take a good hard look at the way we are spending our money and what we, before we purchase, or, the impulse shopping we do on various sites and with various companies. But more broadly speaking, this is the corporation's fault. This is not the fault of an individual who is trying to get by in a country that consistently does not want us to. So I loved that you really brought the focus back to these corporations are at fault. Like, it's not necessarily holding a ruler to someone's hand and being like, don't buy that. Like, so I think about that all the time. Constantly.
It's like, we don't have solutions to these widespread, huge problems right now. And so the only thing that we can do is talk about it until something reveals itself. I think when we do have a path out, and it's like, we're just like in the forest with our machete trying to find or create a path. And that requires a lot of us talking, I think.
It reminds me, the other day I saw Suzanne Lambert. Somebody was giving her a hard time for going to Sephora. And she really eloquently was like, listen, if we all go down the rabbit hole for every single product and every single store that we go to, we will be here forever and we will have nothing to buy. And I think about that too. I have tried to be much more conscious about where I spend my money, what companies I spend with. I have noted who donates to who and who has given continually to this administration, and I do my best. But at the end of the day, I live in frickin' Madison, Alabama. Like, what are my options? And I personally do have a lot of options where I live. So I think about other people who are living in potentially more rural places and who have only the Dollar General and the Walmart to go to. So
I'm pretty fucking close. So.
So I think about that too. I'm like, we all have ways that we are trying to, if we're conscious and awake, trying to navigate how to be better in this society. And I also consider the fact that there are a lot of people out there who maybe, maybe they don't want to shop at Walmart. Maybe they don't want to be buying these fast fashion items, but financially, because of the way that our system is set up in this country, that is what they have to do in order for their family to be able to survive. So there's just a lot of, I think you said it earlier, Heidi, there's a lot of nuance in the conversation. And I know we're talking about like influencer marketing and influencer impact, but I still think some of that applies even online. When you think about the Sheins and the Amazons and all of that, it's like, at the end of the day, if a mom looks at Amazon and that price point is $10 cheaper than her local store, and she's got 3 kids at home that are trying to do homework and she's cooking dinner, is she running to the store or is she hopping on Amazon? So I think you're right. Like, the structural and systemic changes have to be there in addition to us being conscious of our consumer behavior too.
Yeah. Do you guys know that scene in It's Always Sunny where Charlie is like has the whiteboard behind him and he's like drawing all crazy over it? Like, I feel like I bring up that meme like every like 5 or 6 episodes, Mallory, but it's like because it never fails. We end up talking to somebody who like is really helpful in helping our audience, like audience and us, connect the dots of all of these different things and how they it is never a conversation about just one thing. It is never just about the environmental impact of fast fashion companies. It's never just about the influencer marketing tactics. It's never just about the Amazons of the world. It's always about how politically, how, you know, socially, how all of the things that are happening globally and particularly in the United States right now are having a broader impact on how we spend and how we live. But I would go even one step further, how women spend and how women live, because women are the target demo for all of these companies, as we know. So, or at least all of the fast fashion, you know, companies. So, so yeah, it never fails to surprise me. We'll be talking to somebody and I'm like, oh my God, I'm putting 10 things together right now as we speak. When we think about ethical content creation and like being an ethical quote influencer, is that a thing? Like, can people do that? Is that real?
I don't know. Right? I think that
What do you think?
there's so much about our social contract right now that's just up in the air. It feels like we're renegotiating right now, right? So I think when it comes to what is ethical, you know, that's a very, you know, we live in a really individualistic world, but that's a very individual question right now because we understand that the current systems do not lend to morals and ethics. I just think a lot about the things that I have access to that other people may not have access to, that may be that key that will get somebody to move one step forward or shift slightly to the left or actually just think about morals and ethics to begin with. And so when I think about morals and ethics and content creation, I think about interjecting ideology into the sphere of information that we have out there that will actually get us to a place where that's possible. If we get people to start thinking about that, then it's like we naturally create these cohorts. And I think the algorithm lends to that for us. The nuance and the strategy is just taking advantage of the system as it is to maybe build something, maybe build some bridges out of it. Because I think a lot about, Mallory, back to your point about the mom, right, who's busy with her kids. There are solutions, right? There are solutions, but they're just not readily available in the moment in which she needs them. We live our lives in a certain way because of technology.
Yeah, well, and Americans are used to convenience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When, you know, you all have traveled abroad. Life looks very different.
Yep.
Even for people who are of a similar age with similar age children. So we are a need now, fast, convenient society.
Absolutely. I think about with like that mom scenario, who, you know, is ordering from Amazon in the moment because she needs it, is corporations just have so much unfettered access to us. They have all of our data. And I always find it really interesting that they're making assumptions about us, right? Like they're making assumptions about people and what they want and what they need. And then so it's kind of like this endless feedback loop. And in my mind, which this is fairly impossible at the moment, there are a couple women-led startups that are looking to tackle this. But I wonder, it's like, what if we almost had like some sort of notification net or some way to, you know, scrape our data back from these companies, or at least create a barrier so that we're actually not getting the things that no longer align with our values. Like we're telling the advertiser what we want. They're not making assumptions. Like we are telling them who we want to be, how we want to live, because there are solutions. It's just, they're just not getting to us. People think I'm something that I am not oftentimes, or something that I'm only partially. And then I get these ads online like, oh, you're an environmentalist, you must want to wear a coconut husk dress. Like, you know, like, and so, I just think that the way that we advertise is ripe for disruption in terms of data allocation, what we use that data for, and how much access we have to tell them what we actually want at the end of the day, who we want to be, who we want to become.
Well, Okay, so that would be incredible if we had the ability, right? But until then, what do you think are some steps that someone could take to sort of get out of this fast fashion overconsumption cycle of buying things just because they've seen it 700 times on TikTok?
I know, right? You're like asking maybe for myself.
Yeah.
No, so I subscribe to the slow fashion mindset, and it's a little decision tree that I use. I see a product, number one question, do I already own something similar? If I do, the answer, we're not buying this. If the answer is no, then it's like, can I get this from either a resale platform or an emerging brand? And can I redistribute my wealth in those ways? And then finally, if I need it in the moment, and fast fashion is the only place I can get it, I guess that's okay. But it's kind of going through that really simple decision tree that, at least in my experience, has allowed my audience members, clients to give themselves the space to be like, oh, like I'm just going to go through this really quick. Do I even need this thing? Do I even want this thing? Does it work? And then supplementing that with like apps like Index. So I'm an angel investor in an app called Index. It's a closet cataloging app. I love it. They have taken the route of they hire human stylists within the app. They definitely will and use AI for a few different things. But that's more kind of like internal for them to make the experience better for the user. Not necessarily like a wearing who is using AI to like create outfits and then, kind of scrape your closet to understand what's missing and then send that information to fast fashion companies who will then pay them to advertise to you. Mm-hmm. And so I think kind of like finding those apps that are really there for their consumers, versus apps that are somewhat aligned more with that like big fashion core, like that center of gravity that's really wanting to use AI and the information that they give you to, feed the agentic commerce model, which would then, automate our purchases, which is
so.
weird.
So tell us more about what Index does. Does it?
Yeah.
Obviously,
I love Index.
Yeah,
It's so nice.
Well,
I'm still not done cataloging my entire closet.
Oh my gosh,
but
me neither.
I'm
never done. Yeah.
I do feel strongly that I'll get there.
Are you telling me that Index will say you already have that? Don't do it.
Well, it just brings it
Sort
to the
of.
forefront, right? Yes. I have a lot of object impermanence with my clothing. I didn't know I had that, and I've had it for like 10 years and worn it like 10,000 times, but it's just hidden away. But Index, you can catalog all the pieces in your closet, create outfits. You can actually open your closets to your friends, and then you guys can style each other. They have a little style quiz that will then pair you with other stylists within the app that you can pay to do lookbooks. You can pay to have them dress you. There's all sorts of options. And to me, this is also the new wave of social media, connecting to people in that way. And then, this is like pie in the sky, and Index are in the loop. Don't get mad at me for talking about this, but like, I feel like something that I see for the future of this is that, we'll still have the eBays, the Poshmarks, the Mercaris, all of those like big, like managed platforms, resale platforms. But we will also have the option to just like, swap, borrow, buy between us within those app structures too. Which would, I don't know. I mean, it would be great if I was like, okay, I want someone who is, 5'5", size 6'8", like athletic build. I want to look in their closets. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, how cool would it be if we could just have like a little 6-month timer on things that we don't wear? And then we get into
re-up them, for people to take off our hands.
Yeah, to take off our hands or to style ourselves, right? It's like, oh, maybe we just forgot we had this thing.
That's true.
So,
and I love that for the concept of, you talk about an object. I lived in New York City for a long time, so I cycle my clothes. Whereas I know a lot of people don't put their winter clothes away. They just live in their closet, but I do. I put my winter clothes and my winter boots and sweaters and all of that up in the attic, and then I switch them out so that my closet doesn't feel overwhelmed, which I prefer. But I have to tell you, fall's coming up, and I know I'm gonna start getting advertising for something, and I'm like, oh,
Yep.
that's so lovely. Totally forgetting that I've got 3 of them. I've kind of pushed that pause button on that decision itself. The other thing I wanted to point out about the decision tree is like, can I get this somewhere else? This is where I would probably be most likely to stop and pause, because if I can get it somewhere else, and I'm either not willing to go get it at the moment, or not willing to put it on a list of something that I feel like I need and I need to go get, then do I really need it, or do I just want to click buy in this cart, right?
Yeah.
Like that, taking the moment in that decision tree to assess what your psychological or internal motivator is. I prefer to buy things in person. So if I'm walking around the house and I say, I need a fly swatter, I can get that in person at a store that's here locally. And if I'm not willing to go do it at that point, then I don't need it that bad.
Yeah, I made a TikTok about this a few weeks ago, because something I find super interesting is sort of like, again, this is where the Charlie like thing comes in, is like how women who are neurodivergent play into this like broader puzzle, because I would put some amount of money on the fact that women who are kind of doing the impulse spending with a lot of fast fashion sites likely have some kind of neurodivergence, because they're trying to get, like, they get a dopamine hit from, and maybe they're undiagnosed or not medicated or whatever, so they're getting this dopamine hit from the purchase. And we see impulse spending as like a huge indicator of ADHD tendencies, at minimum probably an ADHD diagnosis. Like over 80% of neurodivergent adults impulse spend at multiple given points in their life. And so this all kind of like makes me think of how that plays, like intersects with all of this, and how that decision tree is very difficult for neurodivergent people to really stop and be like, oh, do I have this? Do I own this? Whereas if they could go into a place in their phone and not have to get up, not have to deal with the object impermanence, and not have to deal with like the, you know, the kind of mental load or the executive dysfunction that comes with like going and looking and seeing if something is there, that would make the impulse spending so much lessened, you know. So that's another factor that I think of when I consider how useful these apps could be, like Index, or even, I know for myself, Poshmark. There are plenty of times where I have seen, there's a very specific influencer I follow who, like, everything she posts, I'm like, oh my God, I need it. But it's always a luxury item. It's always at least over $200, which I'm not just gonna throw down every day for something that I want in my closet. So I have purchased plenty of things from Poshmark that I've seen her post about. And then kind of on the flip side of that, I'm also not supporting LTK, ShopMy, like any of these kind of larger influencer affiliate companies. So all of these things intersect really kind of beautifully for these companies to make shitloads of money.
No, absolutely. Have I talked to you about Benny?
Oh wait, this is the thing that you can look for it on all the sites. Yes. Yeah.
So when you're when you're talking about going to like Poshmark, or looking it up secondhand or whatever, there's a tool called Benny. If you're on Instagram, like say you're scrolling, you find your favorite influencer and you're like, oh my gosh, I love this thing. You can screenshot that, upload it into Benny, and Benny will scrape resale sites to find same and or similar options. But yeah, so I do think a lot about the nuance within these different businesses and apps, and then also on that like higher level, who they're connected to, who's invested in them, and then what overall corporate strategy are they kind of like, would they funnel into if they scaled and grew.
So we have Index, Benny, Locker, Poshmark, all of the resale sites, obviously. Great.
Yep.
Any other tools or fun apps or things that people could download that can, I think like the monetary piece is a big hang up for a lot of people, like where you as you said are an angel investor in Index and a couple of other companies, I believe. And like, so when we think about how someone can make a difference on like an individual level, like what tools can they implement that aren't if they don't have money to give necessarily to a startup. What other tools are you thinking about, like in your day-to-day, that you are maybe utilizing that don't have like a direct, like, oh, I'm going to give this money to, or invest in this company?
I think Gem is also really great, like similar to a bunny, slightly different feel.
I haven't heard of that one. That's cool.
Yeah, they've been around for a long time as well. I mean, I think the thing to think about right now with kind of individual action is, how do we bring individual action together? How do we coordinate more? That to me is the thing that we need to think about, and what allows us to do that, right? Because I do think a lot of the ideas sometimes play into like the overarching like surveillance state that is being built. But then I think in my mind, like I've been in tech for a long time, been through a few different waves of new technology coming out and changing the game entirely. But I do think that this like AI reasoning renaissance is not something that we shouldn't be involved in. I think we need to interject ourselves in it. I think, people who do have stronger ethics and morals need to be at the table. The time to boycott AI was in like 2003.
I don't think a lot of people are, a lot of people aren't having that take on this, right? Everyone's like, AI is bad for the environment. AI is going to take over the world. AI is bad for you. And I hear you.
They're not wrong.
Yeah, but what better way to combat it than to make sure that AI is also being trained by people who say, no, that's not right.
Yeah,
let's go this direction.
Yeah,
we need those people at the table as well. Yeah.
I think people don't quite understand, and if I was never in tech, if I was never in startups, I wouldn't know or be able to like contextualize a lot of this. But I was just at a tech week event a couple weeks ago. There's this really cool company in Seattle called Gone, that's luxury resale for larger furniture items. And then they're actually getting it to the point where they'll come pick something up from your home and they'll know like where it's going. So there's not a whole lot of need for warehousing or necessarily overarching space. Interesting business model. But I was at one of their events and they had a few guys from Madrona, which is a big venture capital fund here in Seattle. They just raised a $770 million round. And they were talking so excitedly about what they were calling the reasoning renaissance, and how they would just create model after model after model after model, each one going extinct, faster and faster, so that they would get to the point where it's like they're in this reasoning renaissance, and like that's what they're using this money for.
Wait, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by a reasoning renaissance, and what do you mean by model?
Okay, so with the model, the data model, right? What the artificial intelligence is built on.
Is it who's doing the reasoning, and are they reasoning themselves out of AI? What are we talking about?
Who's reasoning here?
No, in terms of the reasoning renaissance, that's how they're thinking about this, right? Like this is their printing press. Like this is their like this is a very big technological revolution from their perspective, because they are going to be able to have computers reason for them, and they're going to utilize this information and this data in order to do that. And so an example of that would be, are we going to use robots powered by AI to do all of our manufacturing moving forward? And then AI is going to be able to not only give those robots the ability to do the work that they need, but it's also going to give like that back end the information very, very quickly, what they need to know in terms of like margin, right? In terms of productivity and what that will then spit out. But then there's no like wrap around to the reasoning, right? Like it's just like you said, Mallory, who is doing the reasoning? Information. What are the?
Are they essentially like training these AI models over and over and over again so that they become as human-like as possible, but better, essentially.
And in their image.
Got it.
Yeah.
Sick. I love it here.
Well, just to take it back to the thing that's making you pretty furious. I mean,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
on what planet we could go? This is a whole rabbit hole now. I could go down, but I won't. But when you think about the amount of people who think that these tariffs are a good idea because they think that the tariffs, by the way, people who support Donald Trump and his tariffs have come up with 650 different reasons why the tariffs are a good idea, and none of them are the same. But I digress.
Yep.
Many people have said this is going to bring manufacturing back to the United States, which we all know is not going to happen. And you are sitting here saying, not only is that not going to happen, the people who are in manufacturing right now won't be there in, let's call it
Literally
10 years.
won't be there.
Because there won't be any humans, because they are creating these reasoning models that will eventually take the place of anything that a human brain or hand could do in the manufacturing space or in a warehouse space, etc. So I'm just so glad we got to the bottom of that.
Yep. Sure did.
Me and Mallory are like, hang on a second. So you're saying
the other side of it that you brought up that I've been thinking about since you said it is this idea that the ethical conversation to not only AI but consumption, all of these things, when we live in a country that is so ethically divided. And I think we're to the place politically where we've said over and over and over again, this isn't about policy anymore. This is about your values and your ethics as a human not aligning with mine. And so even though we're talking about all of these things, at the root of what we're saying is we need people who have strong ethics and morals to be inserting themselves in the conversations around all of this. But can we change the fact that half the 77 million people in this country seem to be lacking those things?
I don't know.
Anyway, that
ding, ding, ding.
That's all the time we have, folks. Chew on that.
Hope you have a great weekend.
Anyway, hope you love that thought process.
Really inspiring. Really inspiring.
Yes.
Essentially, we're all kind of fucked.
I mean, I don't believe in that.
No, we're
One thing
not.
I will say, one thing I
can't believe that. We're bringing a life into this world.
Right?
I gotta stay on the up.
Yes. Gotta
One
stay
thing
on
I do love about Heidi, and every time that I talk with Heidi or like interact with a piece of her content, is that I leave it feeling more hopeful than when I got there. And even better is I always learn something in the process. And that thing that I learn might be really jarring and terrifying and scary.
Yes.
And you're like, oh my God, they're training this model to have reasoning. That's very scary. But I always come out of it being like, and we're not completely fucked. Like, and there's a way forward that exists that we don't have to subscribe to, the Peter Thiels of the world and like Palantir's great mission for the country. So that is one thing I will say that I love chatting with you, because it does actually always make me feel much more hopeful on the other side of it, even though in the middle I'm like, wait, you're telling me what?
It's always so hard to have the conversations. But I will say this world of information we live in now, like we have all the receipts, they're easily accessible, timeline, receipts, like whatever that, audio is, that is now. And I think it's really interesting how, misinformation, disinformation, lies spread 6 times faster than the truth. But I don't know how long that will last. Like, what is that 6x time? Are we coming up on that now? You know, because there's not a whole lot more they can lie about. So there's not a whole. I mean, I was like, let me tell you,
so true.
But I do wonder about kind of like the flywheel of misinformation and when that comes to an end. Right. And then I do have a lot of hope that people do have the ability to contextualize what's going on, because this is going to touch us all in one way, shape, or form. So
I just have to believe that for all the people who are out there who are bad, evil, Disney villains, that there are more people out there who are just as intelligent, are just as committed to doing what's good for humanity and good for society, whether that's in tech or anything else. So,
Yeah.
it's going to be all right.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for Gavin Newsom, all like the Gavin Newsom, like, I'm like,
Daddy Newsom
yeah,
out here.
Yeah.
He sure turned things around from his podcast bros real quick, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
But I haven't forgotten, just so we're
Yeah.
clear.
Big pivot.
Speaking of Gavin Newsom, we play a game on the podcast called Fury or Fun, where you tell us if something makes you furious or if you think it's kind of fun. And ironically, our first point was Gavin Newsom, Daddy Newsom right now. So what are your thoughts on Gavin?
Okay, so I had a moment last night where I was sitting on the couch and I was like, what if I ever meet Gavin Newsom's wife? How do I tell her that I just called him daddy for like the last 3 to 4 years? How do I explain that to Mrs. Newsom? Not that I would ever meet her, but that's where my brain would go.
That is hilarious.
Fully, though. Fully.
But also... There is something. It's like his energy. I mean, he is an incredibly attractive man. But to me, the daddy element is part that. Don't get me wrong. But it's also part like he's finally going. What is going? Like a dad. What is going on here?
Yeah, literally.
And he's reached the pinnacle.
He is pissed.
Yep.
And he's doing exactly what we need.
Yep.
Absolutely. But okay, so what do I think about Gavin Newsom? So, I know we think about like the podcast where he came on and everyone was angry with him. Same just happened with good old Pete, right? And I think about this a lot, about how strategy is not always illuminated for the general public, right? And to be fair, I do not align with what they said in those podcasts at all. But we have a friends and family algorithm that we live in. And there are certain touch points and certain keywords that if they say them, if they talk about them in a certain way, that's the beginning of a bridge for someone to cross over to the other side. They didn't have to throw trans people under the bus again and again and again, right? But when they're going on these podcasts, they need those people to listen to them long enough so the algorithm picks up who they are and what they're doing and then serves more of that to those people.
Yeah.
And this happens to me a lot where it's like the other day I had, House and Habit post me on her stories and she's like, oh, white woman with an opinion. And I was like, me too. And
fucking Jessica.
I know, right? But I had 200 or 300 people come follow me from that. So I had this influx of new people. And whenever that happens, I know that I have a new kind of subset of my audience to speak to. So I'll go a little more high level, or I'll talk about some things that I'll just go up a few levels or down a few levels from where I currently am, right? To try to meet the moment of where they may be at based on what I know about them and the things that we're talking about. And I do get pushback from other members of my audience who are much more progressive. And I'm like, no, I agree with you. I'm saying this because I have a different set of people and I think this is where they're at.
Yeah.
And it's never one time. It's 1,000 times, right? It's you have to say these things over and over and over again. And anyway, so I'm not defending Gavin Newsom or Pete Buttigieg or the bullshit that they're saying. It's in defense.
No, that's an incredibly,
it's a
incredibly valuable perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about it like that. I hope that's the strategy. How about that?
Yeah.
I don't want to discredit their ability to know who they're talking to and when and why. And I hope that that's the point of what they were doing.
I mean, that's what I immediately thought. But once again, right, the truth is a kaleidoscope. There's a lot of different reasons why they're saying those things.
Yeah.
This is probably just one minuscule one. I mean, I'm fun for Gavin Newsom right now. I'm like, I love the tweet style, right? I love what he's doing. His work is spectacular right now, other than like a few missteps early on. I'm here for the blood sport, I think, between him and Trump, and he's going to win. So it's just
absolutely.
Yeah, fun for me.
I didn't realize that like our list is basically just people on it today. And so my next one that I have for you is, let's talk about Sydney Sweeney.
Ooh, okay.
Fury or fun on Sydney Sweeney?
Gosh, it just is so dumb that I mean, I can't, like, I'm not even that mad about it because it's just like, okay.
Hey, girl. Yeah.
It's like the Bezos wedding, the mega family birthday party, good genes are passed down, the Brooke Shields references. And I'm like, these marketers what are you doing? Like, but then, I mean, I grew up in the I get it, like I very much understand. I know we all do. I understand the time period that they're pulling from along with the popular ideologies at the time. But I don't know. I can't.
Some of this, I think, is getting older and wiser, and some of it is just realizing how absolutely ridiculous the world is that we live in. Yes. And it is like, this is infuriating. But you go back 5 years, we've got 2020. Every company on the planet is diversifying bodies and colors and all of this stuff. A race to the most diverse ad campaign. And now you've got company after company after company capitulating to Trump and MAGA and conservatism and white supremacy. And I'm just like, how in 5 years did we go so, like, we climbed and then we just went, oh, just kidding.
The pendulum swung.
Way.
Sure.
And so then I'm like, well, what's it going to take for the pendulum to just go back? I don't know.
Right on.
There's a part of me that's like, it's worth getting mad about. And then there's a part of me that's like, okay, noted. Whatever the fuck that was, I won't be buying from this company anyway. Keeping it moving.
Fully.
Well,
I did see a tweet that like made me, or it was on Threads, that made me laugh so hard about Sydney Sweeney because like I am a Sydney Sweeney hater.
Yes.
For a variety of reasons. First, I found her character in Euphoria to be insufferable. So that's not entirely on her, but like good writing maybe.
Yeah.
Then the MAGA birthday party. I was like, you're annoying. Get the fuck out of here. I don't want to see you. I don't want to see you anywhere. I don't like you. And then at one point in time, Ty was like, yeah, I mean, I think, if my like celebrity crush were anybody right now, it'd be Sydney Sweeney. And I was like, divorce, first of all.
Immediately.
I was like, you're getting murdered. And then the whole like MAGA stuff came out and he was like, nah, man, I just can't now anymore. And I was like,
obviously.
Good boy. Green flag. So there was that. And then anyway, whatever. Then all of this. So I'm just like, I can't stand her. I think she kind of sucks. Anyway.
Yeah.
But I did see a thing on Threads that was like, why are we at all concerned about Sydney Sweeney? This is the person who looks like she has fetal alcohol syndrome. And I literally lost my mind. I have not laughed.
It's a little
that
Britney,
hard.
a little Nemo. a little Britney, a little Nemo.
A little Britney, a little
Oh
Nemo.
my gosh.
I laughed so hard at that. I was
sorry,
like, in
Heidi
tears.
didn't agree to that description of someone, so
Listen,
she can say I don't agree.
I personally love everything you're doing. No notes. No notes.
It was incredible. So anyway, I had to share.
Well, I was actually just thinking in my head, I'm like, I'm so fine with like body and face shaming women who are just awful. Like I'm just
100%.
I'm okay with it. It's fine.
Fully.
It's fine.
Yeah,
like I'm so far,
absolutely.
you deserve it. You made the commercial.
Yeah,
Fully.
I mean, come on.
You did it.
And if you weren't smart enough to know,
Yep.
then why didn't you hire somebody who was?
Then your publicist should have been. Anyway,
Speaking of people
All right,
who are
Mallory.
smart,
take us home.
right.
Last one. Old Taylor Swift.
Pew, pew, pew.
Are we fury or fun with her right now?
Well, I feel like I'm kind of like actually having fun with talking about why we can't talk about Taylor Swift. I'm actually kind of having a good time, you know, just being like, literally let the girlies yap. We have a PR. She has Tree, you know, Tree Paine. Is that it?
Yeah, which I feel like if there was a famous rapper named T-Pain, I might.
Okay, no, I'm like, I never put that together. I thought I was like saying T-Pain with my mouth, and then I was like, he was like a fairy.
Tree Paine.
I did not put that together until you said her name out loud. So thank you for doing
Yeah,
that.
you're welcome. But yeah, so I feel like kind of like a nod to Sydney Sweeney here, you know, being super mega coded. I just did this reel yesterday where I talked about Travis Kelce's recent GQ spread and how
The Law Roach.
was a stylist, and I was like,
Law Roach really said January 6th. What?
I was like, is this
It was so bad.
It took me like a couple times to be like, no, I think this is pretty. I think this is what we're supposed to be seeing, and
It is so bad.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
And it's sad because, okay, this is a tangent from Taylor, but it's sad because he's an attractive man. There's no question about that.
Oh, fully.
And on his own, or with whoever he normally works with as a stylist, he usually looks pretty good, pretty stylish, fashion forward. He takes risk and does fun things, and I think he always like straddles the fence really nicely of
I
doing
think
something.
styles himself actually.
Well, then even better. I always think he straddles
Urge.
the fence of trying something new or being a little out there, but not crazy. And this, I thought, I didn't know these photos were real when I first saw them. I thought it was like a satire, or he was making a joke of something. And
The alligator, him holding the alligator, it was a gun in
The
the
Hermes
bad.
bag. I was like,
it's so
that
bad.
that was Law's Hermes bag. It was flown in.
Crazy.
that's
Okay,
crazy.
Taylor.
Yes.
Oh my
But I
God.
also feel like this has to do with Taylor, though, because kind of back to what I was saying with the Gavin Newsom and the Pete's and the strategy, you know, because I had a good friend of mine on TikTok. She was like, how can Taylor not be embarrassed? And I was like, no, this is a part of the rollout.
Yeah.
There's something for everyone here.
Yeah.
Right?
And talk about show
As a
of
couple, there's
showgirl, and then
something
this
for everyone.
like really bizarre, like showy, like
Yep.
production he does for GQ. Like,
And then I'm like, is this supposed to be subversive? Are you in on the joke?
yeah,
we-
it's-
What I'm like, and is it even a joke? I'm like, what is going? I'm like, it's just so weird. And then it's like on the tail end of, you know, Taylor at the Grammys. When was it? In like was it 24, 20, 23 or 20, whenever that was, right? Tail end of the Grammys, and then Annie Lennox is on stage calling for
ceasefire.
Let aid in, release of the hostages, like all that stuff. And then, you know, Taylor's announcing her album. And I'm like, we're however many months later, or even like a year later. And it's like, okay.
Not a peep about Donald Trump, not a peep about Palestine, not a peep
Yeah.
about anything. And then just an
And-
album release. And you're like, oh.
Well, you know, and well, now maybe I'm a little furious, but also still having fun with it. But it's like, then it's, you know, it's like, that's the model. Like, that's the image that everyone is, or especially, you know, white women, young white women, people who want to be successful. It's like, no, we got to stay in our box. We got to stay in our box. We have our fearless leader up here doing that to show us exactly the way, you know. And but also too, it's, you know, I don't get too furious about this stuff because I try to cut off any sort of like parasocial relationship that I have in my brain, because I'm like, this is a brand. Like, this is we're experiencing as a brand, And then I also think about, people reference Americana a lot and her like political leanings and the things that we learned about her and that. I'm like, but we also learned that her team doesn't want her to do any of this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
and that's the broader perspective that I feel like we should be paying attention to. It really doesn't have anything to do with what she really truly thinks or feels.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
what the brand requires within the patriarchal system. And right now the brand requires winning, not a dismantling. And I think that that's really an interesting perspective to look at it. And so, maybe that's my weird way of having fun, but I'm not mad about it.
No, I definitely think it's always important to look at the nuances of something. People, I teeter back and forth because on the one hand, when you have that level of power, when you have that level of influence, I do think it's really important that you use it. I also do think she uses it. I think she uses it when it's convenient sometimes more so than others or benefits her. But on the same side of that, I mean, people are saying she hasn't said anything about the dismantling of same-sex marriage, and I'm like, well, first of all, the Supreme Court isn't even hearing it. So and she has spoken about LGBTQ issues. Now, Gaza and Palestine, different story, but I do think over the years she has in her music sprinkled political thought and opened people's brains, and so there's one part of me that's like, yes, and she has. And she's used her music and her lyrics to infiltrate people and to hopefully change their minds and perceptions. So there's part of that. I also just, something about her just irritates me as a human, and I don't want to be that way, but I can't help it. But more than anything, as we wrap up on this idea of consumption and buying things, I got so furious.
I love your face right now.
That I bought a fucking record on the first night, and then the next night she released more. And I was like, this capitalistic bitch. I got so
this
mad.
Billionaire bitch.
I was mad. And then I started thinking about all the time, like she did it with the 4 album covers of the other one. And I was like, God damn it, I fell for it.
We're like, fuck, not again.
Yeah, I got so mad that I didn't wait. I didn't use a decision tree. And I bought the album. And then she gave another one with more stuff. And it was a freaking CD. I said, who's got a goddamn CD player?
Gosh, I know.
But don't worry, Mallory. Maybe you'll be able to sell it in a few years for
right?
God, or maybe everyone's now officially turning on Taylor Swift and they're going to start burning their records.
Yeah, maybe it's a Dixie Chicks situation. Maybe we're going to run a bunch over with a truck.
Oh my God.
But anyway. Well, Heidi,
yes,
thank you so much for joining us, for being here on the podcast.
You're so welcome.
We loved chatting with you. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody you have a new website? Tell everybody where they can find you, give your socials, plug your shit.
Absolutely. So website is by HeidiKaluza.com. I think actually as we're recording this, it's not live yet, but I think it will be live. Very excited about it. You can find me at dinfluence.substack.com. Talk about a lot of different things there. And then socials at The Rogue Essentials on Instagram and TikTok, Blue Sky, and probably a few other ones that I just don't check.
Amazing.
And I was going to say that handle will actually change to by Heiid Kaluza as well once the whole rebrand is rolled out. So
amazing.
You guys
Thanks
are so
for being
fabulous.
here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure.